We've all seen movies where a character showcases extraordinary memory, remembering every single detail of their life or an important aspect of a script with ease. On the other side of the spectrum, we've seen individuals who struggle with foggy past or severe memory impairments. From individuals with photographic memories to individuals struggling with amnesia, these characters fascinate and intrigue us. But how accurate are these descriptions in movies? Do the movies give us a balanced description of what memory really is? And how do these portrayals affect or impact our understanding of memory in real life? Join us on this mind-bending journey, from short-term memory to long-term memory and everything in between. We'll be unraveling the science behind this exciting cognitive process, going beyond what the movies sell to us. Buckle up, for you're in for an exciting ride. Even with a faint understanding of research, you may have come across the term operational definition. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Cognitive Nomad. Today we're going to be exploring one of the most exciting aspects of the human mind, memory. From cherished childhood moments to a favorite song, or to general facts around us, or probably to a subject in school, memory shapes our understanding and experience in particular ways. But how exactly do we store and retrieve this information? For the purpose of exploring memory, we're going to be operationally defining memory as the approximate recall or recollection of events, a stimulus or an aspect of a stimulus. This definition would form the basis of our discussion as we aim to understand memory. We use the term approximate because it's going to repeatedly manifest itself as an important theme in our discussion on this topic. The memory system is made up of permanent structural features that are essential for its overall functionality. These enduring characteristics play a vital role in how memory operates, influencing both encoding and retrieval processes that allow us to store and access information effectively. Information from the environment flows through the five senses, often imprinting itself in the sensory register before being processed to short-term memory. What is short-term memory? Short-term memory is a limited storage space retaining information for a brief duration of time. The proposed capacity of short-term memory is 7 plus or minus 2 units of information. The amount of information held in short-term store may vary depending on the complexity of information, individual differences, and environmental conditions such as either noisy or distracting where the information is being processed. Information processed from the environment through the five senses into short-term memory is determined by attention. Attention plays a critical role in filtering and prioritizing stimuli based on their relevance. Typically, items can be held in short-term memory for up to 30 seconds. This duration can be determined by the complexity of information being processed. The duration can also be extended through active rehearsal techniques such as repetition or elaboration, which enhance memory retention. Initially, early research in cognitive psychology suggested that the transfer of information from short-term memory to long-term memory was dependent on how long the information was able to stay in short-term memory. However, this view has been challenged by researchers postulating that the transition from short-term memory to long-term memory is dependent on the depth of processing engaged in by the individual. Specifically, individuals who are actively associating new information with prior experiences demonstrate improved recall due to deeper semantic processing. What if short term memory was more active and just more than a store? Working memory is an active form of short term memory that transcends the stopgap feature for long term memory. The working memory modality initially proposes three primary components involved in cognitive processes: the central executive, the phonological loop, and the visuospatial sketchpad. Working memory being builds upon the concept of short-term memory by encompassing not only the temporary storage of information, but also its manipulation and processing of a variety of cognitive tasks. This system is essential for activities such as problem solving, reasoning, comprehension, and decision making, where the individual is not only holding information but also actively working with this information. For instance, when solving a math problem, working memory doesn't just hold on to information, it also manipulates the information, as the individual must remember the numbers involved while also performing the calculations necessary. This expanded framework of short term memory highlights the dynamic nature of cognitive processes and underscores the critical role that working memory plays in everyday functioning and complex cognitive operations. Unlike short term memory, which retains information as a stopgap for long term memory, working memory actively engages with that information, allowing us to reason, comprehend, and learn. Central executive works as the control center of working memory, orchestrating the interaction between the phonological loop, the visuospatial sketchpad, and the episodic buffer. It directs attention in the sense that it helps us focus on relevant information while ignoring distractions. For instance, in a meeting, we want to focus on the speaker while tuning out side conversations. It also allocates cognitive resources, helping us manage our cognitive load. For example, when working on a group project, we might need to take notes while also listening to teammates' ideas, balancing our attention between both tasks to contribute effectively. The central executive is also prominent in task switching, enabling us to switch from one task to another. For instance, while studying for an exam, we might switch from reading a textbook to solving practice problems. The central executive also comes with its limitations in that its effectiveness can be influenced by individual differences in working memory capacity, which can impact overall cognitive performance. The phonological loop is a critical subcomponent of working memory dedicated to processing auditory information. It has two main components. One, the phonological store, which holds information for a limited duration of time, and the articulatory rehearsal component, which refreshes this information through subvocal or vocal repetition. Previously, we said that the duration of information in short-term memory can be extended through rehearsal. Definitely. This process can be illustrated through silent speech while reading, where individuals mentally articulate words to aid recall. The phonological loop plays a significant role in language acquisition, as evidenced by studies showing that children with specific language impairments often exhibit poor short-term memory and delayed vocabulary development. The phonological loop is believed to encode information via sound, acoustically, or via phonetic properties. This is supported by the phonological similarity effect, which supports the existence of a speech-like memory store, demonstrating that recall is impaired when words sound similar. In contrast, semantic similarity has less impact on immediate recall, highlighting the loop's function in processing auditory details rather than meaning. Because the phonological loop tends to encode information via acoustic or phonological features, does that imply that short-term memory does not encode information based on meaning? Let's wait and find out. The visuospatial sketchpad is responsible for the temporary storage and manipulation of visual and spatial information. This system allows us to visualize objects, navigate the environment, and perform tasks that require spatial reasoning. It comprises of two subsystems, the visual cache and the inner scribe. The visual cache serves as a storage system for visual information, while the inner scribe serves as a visual rehearsal system and also involved in manipulation of spatial information. The visuospatial sketchpad supports our ability to perform everyday tasks that rely on spatial awareness and visualization. It enables us engage in cognitive processes that require mental imagery, such as map reading or assembling objects. It also enables us to retain fundamental information about objects, such as shapes, color, or even its form. The last component of working memory is the episodic buffer. It serves as an integrative system within working memory that helps to bridge the gap between other components of working memory, such as the phonological loop and the visuospatial sketchpad, and long-term memory. This component allows for the binding of different types of information into a cohesive episode or experience. It has a limited capacity, generally holding about 4 chunks of information, and it's accessible through conscious awareness. While the episodic buffer is assessed through conscious awareness, research suggests that information storage in the episodic buffer is often passive rather than an active process. The integrative function of the episodic buffer is essential for tasks that require combining visual and auditory details with contextual information, which facilitate a richer understanding of our experiences. By linking perception and long-term memory, the episodic buffer enhances our ability to recall complex information and navigate various cognitive tasks. A key distinction between short-term memory and long-term memory lies in the encoding process employed by each of these systems. Research indicates that short-term memory primarily encodes information acoustically or phonologically, while long-term memory relies on semantic encoding. This raises questions. Is the encoding process an inherent feature of the memory store itself, or is it influenced by the storage capacity and the nature of the information retained? One might argue that encoding is a characteristic of the store. considering that short-term memory is limited in capacity and may lack the schemas necessary to elaborate on meaning. This perspective is valid if we simply regard short-term memory as a storage system that holds information temporarily for long-term memory, and it doesn't engage in other cognitive processes. Here are two key insights that we've already discussed so far in this video. Attention and verbal rehearsal are active processes that are essential for the encoding and storage of information in short-term memory. Processes such as focusing, maintaining attention, and verbal rehearsal can be characterized as active processes necessary in encoding and processing environmental stimuli. When we process information, we need to decide which stimulus in the environment we want to focus on and maintain our attention. One of the primary strategies for maintaining information in short-term memory is verbal rehearsal, which involves the conscious repetition of information. Research has introduced us to maintenance versus elaborate rehearsal. While maintenance rehearsal focuses on rote memorization, elaborative rehearsal involves deeper processing by linking new information to existing knowledge. The second insight, which we've already talked about in this video, is that regardless of sensory modality, language plays a crucial role in encoding information for storage. When individuals encounter a visual stimuli, such as a graph or images, verbal descriptions can enhance understanding and memory. For instance, a student might summarize the key points of a chart in their own words, reinforcing their grasp of the material. Short-term memory is generally understood as a temporary storage system that retains information for approximately 30 seconds. On the other hand of the spectrum, long-term memory is seen to hold information for significantly longer periods with a capacity that may nearly be limitless. In a video I watched recently, it was proposed that our long-term memory might be able to store an astonishing 2.5 million gigabytes of information. However, this analogy of the brain as a memory card with extensive storage might lead us to several misconceptions. That memory be viewed as nearly infallible, implying the stability of our memories over time. Given these perspectives, what are the true characteristics of long-term memory? What mechanisms facilitate the storage, recall, and retrieval of information across extended duration? Find out in the next video.